This particular passage is about what it takes for a great artist, what he has to bear in terms of physical and mental pain in order to produce great art. So, the very first sentence is clear as to what we should expect. It's a commonplace that great art comes from great suffering, and the recent Oscar winning movie Whiplash may have shocked audiences unacquainted with the tyranny of an elite musical education. But for those schooled in such rigors, it had a distinctly familiar beat, sometimes uncomfortably close. So, the scenes of Miles Teller's character, Andrew, plunging his bruised and bleeding fingers into buckets of ice cold water, while J.K. Simmons' sadistic teacher excoriated him, could have been any young and fiercely determined classical instrumentalist subjecting themselves to the sort of extreme demands we usually associate with professional sports. So this particular paragraph sets the tone for what is to follow. So in the subsequent paragraphs, we read about classical composers who have had to spend a lot of effort, who had to expend a lot of effort, and physically it was challenging to produce great art, whether it's in music. In this paragraph, for example, we are talking about Tchaikovsky, who wrote a violin concerto in D major. It was apparently declared unplayable by Leopold Auer, to whom the work was originally dedicated. In the third paragraph, we are talking about violinist Adolf Brodsky. When we say finally nailed it, he was able to play Tchaikovsky as it was meant to be played. Now, similar stories, fourth paragraph, abound in the classical canon, from Liszt gasp-inducing transcendental etudes with their gigantic leaps to Rach 3, Rachmaninoff's epic third piano concerto, a savage, relentless exposure to everything the keyboard can throw at anyone who dares to take it on, as writer Alex Wade puts it. Such technically demanding works can prove a headache for the composers too. In 1939, Samuel Barber accepted a commission from the wealthy American soap baron Samuel Fells to write a violin concerto for his son, Ivo Briselli. Though Briselli was an accomplished virtuoso, he struggled with its lightning-quick third movement and declared the piece unplayable. Fells promptly demanded his money back. Now, when we look at the last para here, it talks about the sort of pieces that is that what took a long time to work out, says conductor Nicholas Cullen, whose groundbreaking Aurora Orchestra often programs seemingly unplayable works to memorable effect. If I were a violin soloist and first presented with Thomas Edison's concerto, for example, I might have deemed it unplayable. And of course, it was given a very fine premiere by Anthony Marwood in 2005, and now loads of violinists play it. Rach 3 is still as hard as it ever was, but people understand that it's possible, so they tackle it and go for it. It's a bit like climbing Everest. It's been done so many times that we know it's possible and totally achievable. In other words, up your game, folks. Alex Wade, referring to his preferred peak, adds, just as K2, referring to the Himalayan peak, despite its death rate of 1 in 3, will always attract the elite in mountaineering circles. So too is Rach 3 the work that every pianist of genuine ability will want to master. Let's look at the questions. Each of the following statements can be inferred from the passage except. So you're looking for that one choice which cannot be inferred from the passage. Option B is the correct answer. If you have read the passage carefully, you can easily figure out that option B is the correct answer, because even though the passage suggests that any genuine musician would want to master certain difficult pieces of music, we cannot definitely conclude that a musician's success depends on it. Option A can be inferred because the passage states that those who received elite musical education are familiar with its tyranny, that is, its rigors. Option C, before we go into option C, let's look at those places in the passage which talks about what we have discussed in A. This is the line here, but for those schooled in such rigors, it had a distinctly familiar beat, sometimes uncomfortably so. So these lines directly lead to choice A, which is not the answer. Remember, we are trying to find an answer which is not inferred from the passage. B is a very, very good choice. In fact, it's the correct answer. Let's look at why C is not correct. C is ruled out because the passage focuses on the importance of nimble fingers of a musician throughout the passage. It also suggests that a piece of music is considered difficult on the basis of its quicksilver passage or lightning quick movements. Option D is supported by the passage again because it clearly states that a composition needs to be played by a musician for a composer to receive recognition for it. So B it is. B cannot be inferred from what is given in the passage. So your answer is going to be B for Bravo. In this question, it asks, why does the author refer to a musician's achievement as a superhuman effort? Now, if you have read the passage earlier and you look at the choices, you will notice that A is actually a kind of answer which could very well be what will answer the question. It says it results in transition of a piece of music from beyond the realm of human capability to within the realm of human capability. Now, what does it actually mean? We're talking about that a difficult piece of music is considered unplayable till a musician manages to play it. The difficulty of the piece makes the efforts put in by the musician to play it seem superhuman. So as a result, A is a very, very good answer. So it results in the transition of a piece of music from beyond the realm of human capability to within the realm of superhuman capability. Option B is irrelevant as the efforts are not described in terms of how the final performance looks. The passage states that every musician of genuine ability would want to master a difficult piece of music, which is completely unrelated to the superhuman effort mentioned in the passage. Hence, option C is incorrect. Option D is negated because the passage does not talk of the efforts put in by musicians to master certain difficult pieces of music. So your answer is A again. Which of the following describes a paradox mentioned in the passage? A paradox is basically a contradictory situation. Now, if you go through these choices carefully, you will notice that option B, which says that a composer's ability is judged on how difficult it is to play his composition, and yet his composition receives recognition only when a musician is able to play it. You understand what the paradox is here? It says that a composer's ability is judged on how difficult it is to play his composition, and yet his composition receives recognition only when a musician is able to play it. Now, option A and C deal with the idea mentioned in the first paragraph of the passage. This is the first paragraph. The passage does not talk of a paradox in this case, as it only states that the rigorous efforts involved in musical education is usually associated with professional sports. Option B talks of a paradox illustrated through Samuel Barber's example. Now, where is Samuel Barber? His example is given . His example is given here. So we can be sure that when we talk about B, it talks about paradox, and a composer is expected to compose a technically demanding work, but this work is appreciated or recognized only when a musician is able to play it. Option D is incorrect. An example states that even though Bricelli was not able to play it, the composer was paid. So in this case, your answer is going to be B for Bravo. According to the passage, which of the following can be inferred about a musician? Now, of the four choices given here, we can eliminate option A because we cannot conclude that a musician will not be able to play a certain piece of music without having the conviction that he or she can play it. Option B is incorrect because the passage talks of tyranny in association with elite musical education and not just any musical education. Option C is the correct answer. It's correct because the passage clearly states that certain technically demanding concertos cannot be left out of a serious professional musician's repertoire, and that every pianist of genuine ability would want to master certain pieces which are considered as the peaks of music. The only reason why a musician would definitely include a technically demanding concerto in one's performance is to display one's skills. So C is the correct answer. Why is D wrong? It is wrong because the passage does not talk of any classical musician's repertoire in general, but only of a serious professional violinist's repertoire. So your answer is going to be Charlie. What can be inferred about this musician? That certain difficult pieces of music are considered a must for a musician's repertoire, as it allows him or them to display their skills.